Mark, how are you?
I'm very well indeed. It's great to speak to a racing driver like this.
Oh, racing driver. I don't know about that. I am very excited about my Formula One and Monaco debut this coming weekend. However, I am equally as excited, probably more excited to be able to support your charity. And I know it's something that's very dear to you. For many years, I've watched you, your whole family, your dad really push the charity for the Race Against Dementia. And I felt it was only fitting that the car in which he put on pole position in Monaco in 1970, and which a much inferior driver is going to try and find its way around the streets of Monaco this coming weekend. I thought it would be really nice to support the charity, and we would love to hear more about the charity because I've seen you speak about it before, and I've watched your dad speak about it. But can you please tell us a little bit more about the charity?
Well, first of all, I think it's wonderful that you're racing that car, and I hope you can get a pole position as well with it.
Oh,
I expect big things,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
um, but it so the charity. I'll tell you a bit more about Race Against Dementia. Race Against Dementia was started by my father, but really by my mother. My mother, and the picture here behind with my father, was very much part of my father's success. And a number of years back, my mother started to have some issues, and we weren't sure what it was. And we got her checked out. Long story short, it was the beginnings of dementia. And my father asked the doctor, "So, okay, so what can we do? How can we, what can we do for Helen?" And they said, "Well, I'm afraid we can't do anything." And that was shocking to my father, and it was very, very upsetting for us, the whole family, and maybe a bit confusing for my mother. And suddenly, my father woke up one day and thought, like he has done his whole life, turn a negative into a positive. And this was his new battle now. And he decided to create Race Against Dementia. And Race Against Dementia, what we do is we fund new researchers, PhDs, all over the world. It's a big interview process and a big process to get them down to the finite amount we have today. So we have 18 currently, and we want to build on that. Each fellow is a 5-year fellowship. So when they get there, when they win their bid, if you like, they get a 5-year fellowship, and we pay for that 5-year fellowship, and it's £500,000.
It's five
And
hundred thousand pounds for
yeah, for
that.
each fellow. So that's what we do. And we've got them all over the world. We've got them in the UK, we've got them in South Africa, United States, all over Europe, Australasia. So we are, really now a global charity. And we have some great relationships with funders from individuals that run marathons, or people that race around Monaco, like yourself,
Mm.
or people like James Dyson, for example, or wealthy individuals. And we got a couple of people who ran the London Marathon recently for Race Against Dementia. My daughter ran for the New York Marathon. So a lot of people raising money in order to be able to fund researchers. We not only have that, we have basically, if you see it's like a podium, we've
Mm.
got the fellowships at the top. That's first position. Then we've got teams,
Mm.
and teams is a sort of like we sponsor teams into research, and then we have ignition fund to help ignite an idea and to bring it out there. So everything that we're doing is focused towards research and finding a cure. Just recently, Mauro Malpetti, one of our researchers, got awarded in Chicago, newcomer or one to watch out for award. She's already made enormous gains in finding out how to detect dementia. And with that, helps us try to find a cure as well.
And how long has the charity been going for now, Mark?
Now, I think it's been going for about 10 years.
And how much have you raised?
Gosh, well, I mean, I think we're raising close to 20 million, something like that.
Really, that's
Um,
phenomenal. Yeah.
we're coming up to that point now, and no, we're doing very well.
And
But
you're
that is
seeing
a minute amount. I mean, if you think about, you know, 150 million people today suffer with dementia around the world. That's going to grow. And, caring for people with dementia is the bigger thing. The cost, the family hardship, the cost for national health services or medical care or insurances is going to be vast if we don't find a cure for this. So if effectively, if we can get more money to help researchers, because we're not the only ones out there, but Race Against Dementia, with the support of Formula One and the FIA and the people who donate and run and do all sorts of things and book clubs for kids, etc. There's an amazing amount of people out there who understand because they're living with dementia in one way, form or the other. For instance, their mother, their father, their grandparents. And dementia is a real depressing disease for many, many families around the world. So we need to raise money and we need to do it fast. And we need not just to raise money, but to find a cure. And what we're doing is spreading the net. So we've got researchers looking at the gut and how the gut affects the brain. We've got people looking at taking slices of brain of living brain matter that's been taken out of patients that have needed surgery or something and utilizing that and doing tests with this. So we're doing really incredible things, whether it be in Edinburgh, whether it be the Mayo Clinic in the United States or Australia or the UK or anywhere or Cambridge. We're doing some amazing things. And that sort of momentum that my father started is now growing into a bigger thing. We're an official charity of Formula One. Now also just recently the FIA. The awareness is super important. Tom, and what you're doing and raising awareness for Race Against Dementia and hopefully raising some funds for us is super important. Every pound, every dollar, every cent counts.
It does. And I think dementia touches just about everyone in the world because everybody in their family has somebody that suffers from this disease. And for me, it's harder upon the family than it is the actual individual because to watch somebody and, I know your mum has suffered with it in recent years and how much the whole family have been brought together where you are a very close-knit family anyway, but you're really pushing extremely hard for this. And it's nice, it's great to see that you're making strides forward and hopefully you really do, you are the charity that somehow cracks the cure for it, the cure for the disease. And anything at all, whether if we raise £1 for it or if we raise £1 million or anything we can do to push towards the charity, because everybody has to realize that this is a disease that touches every single home, every single family, and until it comes knocking on your door, you probably don't realize or you don't give it the consideration of how hard it actually is.
That's right. I mean, the star in all of this is my mother. She's the one that really ignites us. She's a wonderful, wonderful mother, still is, and she lives in a cloud and everything else. But the love between my mother and my father is super. And my father, with this negative turning into a positive, he's going to be 85 in June, and the biggest present one could give my father for his 85th birthday is money towards Race Against Dementia. That for him is what he wants. This is number one raison d'être today. And he is absolutely focused on that. And he's handed me the chairmanship or chairship of Race Against Dementia. So I have big boots to fill because there's only one Jackie Stewart. But I'm conscious that I have a big challenge ahead. But I think with the new generations today and raising money, we will find a cure for Race Against Dementia. We will help find a cure for Race Against Dementia to break up those proteins in the brain that block the synapses, etc. It's all very simple in conversation, but now we've got to figure out a way of breaking that up and stopping that in the first place and finding what's causing it as well.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. Formula One is a great problem solver. Motor racing is a big problem solver. And the car that you're driving at that time was a massive problem solver. Yeah. And it was the highest stage of development and technology at the time. And you see how Formula One has improved over the years and how little milliseconds are taken out, like what McLaren have just done in Miami.
Yeah.
So they are great problem solvers. And so we want to bring that ethos, that idea into research. I always say to people, go into a Formula One garage or even your garage, it looks like, and see how incredibly immaculate the place is.
Yeah.
You go into many labs around the world and it's a little less well funded and a little, it just doesn't have the same professional side. So if we can bring those two worlds together, and by the way, I'm not putting down the medical world. I'm just saying there's a lot to be learned from Formula One.
From Formula One, the way Formula One is ran, the way it's always been ran, and the way technology evolves in Formula One so quickly, and cures, advancements come from Formula One, and it is actually very interesting, or I find it interesting that obviously you guys with the Formula One background have this charity and are actually attacking it from a slightly different angle, because there's lots of people all around the world that support charities and do fantastic jobs of raising money. But I feel like you're doing a little bit more than raising money. You're raising awareness, you're raising money, and you're also pushing talented medical individuals in a certain direction to try and find the cure, which comes from Formula One. But your dad is a national treasure. He is also a treasure of Formula One, and all the Stewart family. You guys do so much and have done so much for charities and so much for Formula One over the years, and so much for British sport. We all should be supporting this, and we will, hopefully do our best. My job this weekend is just to get it around the track and not crash into the barrier and embarrass the name too much, we want to push and we want to raise what we can for awareness. The car is going to have the Race Against Dementia livery on it, and we just hope that everyone out there who's watching this, if they can just click on a button and whatever they can afford and feel comfortable to donate towards the charity, that's our plan, that's our goal, and that's what we want to achieve.
It's really good of you, Tom. I mean, I'm really touched by the fact that you wanted to do this, that you picked up the phone and asked me if you could do this. You are driving my father's car. It makes a lot of sense. And 1 out of every 3 children born today will die with dementia, will have dementia. They will not necessarily die because of dementia, but with dementia. That's a massive cost, and it's a massive increase. We are living longer, but there's also environmental and dietary things that we're looking into, why the cause, and etc. So, we need problem solvers out there. We need fundraisers. We need people to spread the word. And for SJYS, my father, Sir Jackie Stewart, to have his 85th birthday year with lots of funders. I mean, it'd be wonderful if we could raise enough money over a period of time for a fellow or a team, or even Ignition Fund. But if we do, it gives us a better opportunity to try and find the cure. Absolutely. And there's another thing. It's not all gloom and doom. When I speak to our fellows, I'm super optimistic after I walk out of a conversation with them. It's incredible what we're doing. So I'm very, very encouraged about the where we're going and the research and what we're going to be doing. But it does need funding. It does need an awful lot of time and effort, and we will, for our children, I think, maybe, and hopefully in our lifetime, but in particular our children, to be able to fix a cure. Because think of the cost it's going to bring into our lives if we don't. And we've got cures for everything else. We managed to pull together a few pennies to cure COVID, apparently. And if that energy and funding could go, a little bit of percentage of that could go into looking for a cure for dementia.
It will go a long way. Mark, thank you for telling us more about the charity today. Are you out in Monaco yourself this weekend?
I might do. I mean, no, there's this guy called Tom Hartley I'm looking into. think he might be somebody. I might pop my head around the corner, so you might see me waving on the side of the track.
Well,
I've got a lot going on now, and so I'm traveling a fair amount for Race Against Dementia. We've got a few events going on, so there's a lot going on. But anyway, I put this little thing together at the back here. A couple of helmets.
which car is that behind you, Mark?
That's the 1961 world champion, sorry, 69 world
1969.
champion, 69 world championship car that my father, first world championship that he drove. And funny enough, the helmet is the
Yeah.
1971 world championship helmet. So he, in those days, would have one helmet and race a whole season with one helmet. So that won the Monaco Grand Prix. Famously, you'll see that race as a movie called Weekend of a Champion. My father's driving, well, that's the very helmet. And the car, of course, and the pride here is my mother and my father. And the one at the back is just my helmet. So
And tell me this, how did your dad go from what was for him driving March for the 1970 season? What was the story behind that?
So, so my father was driving that 1969 car. That 1969 car was a fantastic car. My father will talk about that car and say it was a wonderful car to drive. And Matra, who built the car, the engine was powered by Ford at the time, and it was a super DFV engine. It was fantastic. And my father, that was the way to go. Matra decided they wanted to build their own engine for the following year. And my father did not like the engine, didn't feel it was strong enough to be able to go, and neither did Ken Tyrrell. So they decided to opt out and go for a March.
Yeah.
And eventually go to developing their own Formula One car. So they bought basically off the peg March, your car,
Yes, yeah.
and which is the only March to win a Grand Prix. It wasn't a massively successful car, but in fact, it did win a Grand Prix with my father, and it also got pole position in Monaco.
Yeah.
So expecting big things from you, Tom.
Yeah. He was leading the race in Monaco, Monaco actually. I think when he had a mechanical failure. Not surprisingly for Sir Jackie to put it on pole and be leading the race from pole, though. He didn't normally lose pole position very often. But yeah, no, don't have too much expectations about this weekend. But most important thing, if we raise some money for charity, for your charity, then we won. So to me, that would be more important, sincerely, than actually winning the race itself. So that's my goal. That's my ambition for the next 7 days.
Well, I really am absolutely delighted. And thank you so much, Tom, for thinking of us. And it's super important what you're doing. And I really appreciate you raising awareness and hopefully raising a bit of money. It's wonderful. And my father, on behalf of the whole Stewart family and everybody from RAD and all our fellows, thank you very much indeed.
Good, and I hope to see you out in Monaco.
I look forward to it.
Thanks, Mark.
All right. Take care.
Bye bye.